live with do have to have an Instagram account. They do have to be coming from an Instagram to join you. And so you'll want to make sure that, you know, as you're planning a live event, that if you want to go live with anybody else, that you kind of already follow one another so that you can easily do that, so that they're notified whenever you go live. And then the other thing that's kind of tricky about going live on Instagram is that they don't automatically save. And so I had this experience again after our Census Day Hard to Count happy hour, where I just accidentally didn't click this magic button that says save your live video. And so I ended up having to go back and kind of screen record a lot of those sort of things. And so I know it makes it seem like I'm naming a bunch of pitfalls, but I'm just trying to set you all up for success whenever it goes to going live. I wouldn't be promoting it if I didn't think it was a very powerful thing. One final thing about going live is it really, you can only go live with mobile. That's why Rihanna couldn't have her fancy Fenty party, you know, with some fancy camera and plan it out in advance and make it this super high production quality. Instagram really prizes that kind of live, you know, authentic experience based off of a mobile device. And so even as I go down and promote some of the kind of desktop apps for Instagram, then none of those have the ability to let you go live or to schedule any of this sort of stuff. Finally, I'm going to talk about IGTV just very briefly because it's not the most common feature of Instagram, but it is basically just a way to upload longer videos and they will stay on your profile. So this is the one area of Instagram where you can upload a longer pre-recorded video. As I think about some of our census work and I think about some of the ways that we're trying to get out in front of people, really it's about the reminder. It's about that steady drumbeat of the census. And so I haven't really thought of a good scenario where I might use Instagram TV for kind of census work, but you know, certainly someone more creative than I am will be able to think of a way to do that. But they do stay on your profile, meaning that you can run ads on them after that. So just know that IGTV is a thing, and then one of the apps that I show will make it a little easier for you to post and wrap your head around IGTV. Okay, so now that you understand the basics of Instagram, then I am actually going to hop on over and we're just going to dig right into Instagram because I want to show you a couple of things. So the first thing that I would do is to go to your Instagram profile, and or rather your Instagram settings, and I would make sure that your Facebook page is connected to your Instagram. So how do we do that? We are in the Texas Counts Instagram right now, and I'm going to the bottom right-hand corner where I can get to my profile, and then that allows me to get to my account settings. In my settings, then I can link my Facebook account by going account, linked accounts, and then you'll see that I've added the Texas Counts Facebook page right here. Had I not already added it, or I could unlink it certainly, but that would just kind of kill a lot of time that we don't need to spend. Then you'll see that it's really easy. Then it's just like connecting any other account or social media. It's going to kind of take you back and forth, but I would keep these defaults, which are share your story to Facebook and share your post to Facebook. That's how you get some of that extra bang for your buck that I was describing. So you definitely want to make sure that you link your Facebook page, and you could also link your own personal Facebook if you wanted to do that for any reason. While we're in the Instagram app, then let's kind of look at some of that stuff that we described in real time. So all of these, what we're talking about here, this is the profile. These are different little posts. We'll come back and we'll talk about stories. But I just want to make sure that before you get really excited about Instagram, that you are connecting your Instagram and Facebook accounts through Instagram. Again, that's to automatically share your posts onto Instagram. Now we're going to go rapid fire over here and connect to our Facebook page to Instagram. And this is going to give us a little bit of, insight into, okay, advertising later on. But in Facebook, the way that you connect your Facebook, or rather your Instagram to your Facebook page, which really, really, really has a huge advantage whenever it comes to advertising, is you'll go to your Facebook page. We're again looking at the Texas Counts Facebook page. And you're going to go to your settings. And then whenever you are in the settings of your Facebook page, then you'll see it's very, very easy to go and to link your Instagram account. On the left-hand side here where it says Instagram. So if you were a part of our third Pivoting to Digital Organizing webinar, then you'll remember we talked about Facebook ads, and we very quickly went and created a Facebook ad together. Because I have added the Texas Counts Instagram to the Texas Counts Facebook page, then I have made it very easy to start running Facebook ads that are going to be based on, or rather Instagram ads that are going to be based on the exact same audience that I designed in Facebook whenever I boost a post or whenever I create a new Facebook ad for mobile, desktop, etc. So definitely, before you go any further, connect your Instagram and your Facebook. Very, very powerful. Okie dokie. So I have decided that I'm going to take questions in 15 and 20-minute increments. And so I'll just pause right now before we move on to our next section to see, do we have any questions at all? You can either put them in the Q&A, you can chat them to us really quickly. I think this is a good juncture to ask questions about any of what we've covered so far. All right, seeing no questions, I'll pick back up on any questions that you put into the chat box or the Q&A in the meantime at about oh, here we go, got a question. Is it also possible to link Twitter to Facebook? Maria, yes, it is possible to link Twitter to Facebook so that whenever, and if I can, I guess if I can post a resource just to, because I didn't have any of that ready for me right off the top of my head, if I could post a resource to you, I know we already have your email separately about connecting your Twitter and your Facebook. Now, just to bring the discussion back to Instagram, then you can also connect your Instagram to your Twitter and so that you can, whenever you post on Instagram, immediately share that out on Twitter too. But I think I know what you're asking, and that's if you have a Facebook post and you make it live, can that automatically cross over your Twitter, and vice versa? The answer is yes. Okie dokie. So I will come back and check for questions in about 15 minutes, and thank you, Maria. And let's jump into how to kind of optimize your workflow a little bit in Instagram briefly. And what I mean by that is, I think one of the things that made Instagram a little challenging for folks who are newer to kind of digital tools and stuff like that is that it is a mobile first app. And so, kind of getting started on Facebook is easy because Facebook is around, just shortly before the iPhone was really around. And so a lot of us were using Facebook first on our desktop and browsers, really before smartphones became, kind of the default for most of us. But Instagram was designed really after we all had this, very fancy computer in our hands. And so I will recommend this Instagram for Browser desktop app. I put a link so that you can go download it here right now. But if you're anything like me, then really you are, mostly in front of your laptop all day, kind of even whenever you're working in digital, outreach and in, social media outreach, then you're still basically using your desktop. And so it's always been really hard for me to kind of work into my workflow Instagram until I came across this wonderful Chrome extension called Desktop for Instagram. And what this does is once you get set up on this, then you can post from your computer just like you would to Facebook or anything else. And so that way you don't necessarily have to worry about having photos on your desktop and then also having them on your, camera roll, and it all just gets a little confusing. Whatever you have set up going for your Facebook and for your website posting and all of that sort of stuff can hold for your kind of Instagram workflow. And so I'm going to go ahead and put out this post right now through the text, and it looks just like the Instagram app whenever you're using it on your phone, as you can see. So I just selected a photo. I'm going to go next, and I'm going to say, hope to see you next week at our live weekly update. And I already have my, whatchamacallit, oh, haven't turned on location services. Here we go. I already have it connected. I thought it might show me to share from Instagram to Facebook, but I trust that it already is. And so whenever I hit share, that's simultaneously going to go onto our profile and onto the Texas Counts Facebook page. While we're looking at Instagram in this view, then just to kind of ground in these visuals, some of the stuff that we were talking about again, whenever I say that the Instagram algorithm is very smart at putting in the content that it thinks we want to see and that we've kind of trained it to know that we want to see. So really, these top 3 people are those who we've been interacting with on Instagram the most. So Genesis Sanchez with Naleo is just a census champion in the truest sense of the word. And so we're constantly looking to Genesis for fresh information and fresh content. And so Instagram knows that. And that's why it's going to put Genesis's story right in front of us. Ashley Turner is one of the influencers who we had on our Hard to Count happy hour on Instagram. And so Instagram knows that we want to see fresh content from Ashley. And then Houston in Action is one of the complete count committees here in Houston, and we interact with them a lot. And sometimes it gets a little creepy because you know, you get the sense that Instagram and Facebook know a lot more about you than you probably want them to know, just based on other activity you have, you know, usually through cookies and stuff like that, and even sometimes through your email accounts. And so the more that we have been interacting with Houston in Action around some different kind of census work, the more they seem to show up in our social profiles. So at a certain point, we're just going to have to concede that the data is out there and that we're going to have to just make the most of it. So that is Desktop for Instagram. I highly recommend it. Just while we're here, because I know we won't spend too much time talking about it later on, just know that using this app, you can also upload one of those longer videos that we were talking about to IGTV. And you may be asking yourself why I would be using this separate app instead of the Instagram app. And I will just point out that the Instagram app, or rather the Instagram website, even if you're logged in, you know, on the browser version, that it really is just not as robust. You can read your DMs, you can see some notifications, but you can't post from Instagram.com. And so I don't know if any of you have run into that before, but it can be a little maddening because you think, why can't I just go to Instagram.com and just make a post? But just that's not the way Instagram wants it to work. And so that's why we use this app called Desktop for Instagram. Going back to some of the other tools that we have provided, there is an app called Unum, and that is kind of a strategic planner for Instagram. Whenever I send out the slides for this, or whenever I prepare the slides to be sent out for this, I'm actually going to add a special note that Unum can be very powerful, but it's a little weedsy and it's kind of advanced Instagram planning. And so I would not say that that's probably my top app that I would recommend for getting started in Instagram, but I do want people to know that it's out there. What I would recommend just under Desktop for Instagram that we just looked at is Sprout Social. Sprout Social, again, is our official Texas Counts endorsed social media scheduler. And because we are just a little ahead of schedule here, I just want to dig into Sprout and kind of show y'all exactly what it looks like whenever you're logged in. And so Sprout is very powerful because it allows you to kind of take one piece of content and spread it out into multiple posts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram all at one time. And it's very smart at kind of telling you which posts are going to match for which platform. So I am going to let Sprout load here for just a little bit, but just to go back to this landing page so you can kind of see it and recognize it, this is Sprout Social. At this point, I really can't remember exactly what it costs, but I will say that it is invaluable. It is priceless, especially if you're digging into social media and you have been making this pivot to digital organizing and outreach, and you're just like, how do people keep up? Then I would invest in Sprout Social, because it really, really, really helps you amplify your message in a very efficient way. And so what that really looks like is, once you're logged in and your accounts are all connected, you'll come to Compose, which may not be the most intuitive thing to call scheduling a post. And you can select that you want to post to all 3 of your accounts at once, and then add in a photo. Let's just again pretend, and we're not going to do this again, but let's just pretend that we were going to promote the live weekly update for Texas Counts next week. Then you can start to craft your message. Hope you'll join us. And do all sorts of really fun stuff, like add in your emojis here. And this, one of the things that just makes this so terribly efficient is that it will kind of adapt the emojis, because Facebook has its own kind of native emoji thing. And then Instagram uses the kind of native iOS and Android emojis that kind of come built in. But it just kind of adapts it all for you, honestly. And then you can choose to schedule this, post it immediately, or even save it as a draft and come back later on. Another powerful thing about the Sprout Social Scheduler is that it allows you to connect your Dropbox and your Google Drive, which can be really handy if you are really plugged into a lot of great census resources and you're pretty good, like I think we are at Texas Counts, about saving stuff to your Google Drive. Then instead of having to like download it to your computer or to your phone and then posting it from there, you can very neatly organize all of the great social media assets and content into a Google Drive folder, and then kind of come back and post it from there whenever you're in Sprout Social, because it's easily integrated and connected. So again, we're just really trying to make sure that you are able to, at this juncture, while we now still have months and months left to get out the count, even though we want to count as soon as possible, we just want to help you really establish that workflow in how you're using social media. So that is going to be your kind of way to make sure that you have a weekly action plan for Instagram, or even just every couple of days plan for Instagram. But we know that many, many, many of you have been interested in learning about advertising, both for Facebook and for Instagram. I would refer you back to our Pivoting to Digital Organizing webinar number 3, which was all about advertising. But we're going to review very quickly, since I already mentioned that you can add in Instagram ads to your Facebook ad or boosted post, then I'm just going to right now show you how to very easily do an ad on Instagram and how to do some of that targeting. While I'm switching devices to share from my phone, do we have any additional questions? Ooh, that's about right on schedule for questions. So any questions right now about any of the apps that I've just reviewed, or any of the kind of tips that we provided so far?
Aaron, hey, this is Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, I'm curious to know if folks experience any trouble in kind of getting into the zone of Instagram and square photos, because a lot of the apps we use and things we use might have a propensity either for portrait or landscape orientation, but of course Instagram wants square, and I just wonder about your thoughts on that, or if folks have had any trouble making that transition.
That is a wonderful point, Robin. And I will say that Instagram has decided to lighten up a little bit, and it has made it easier to post photos that still are not portrait oriented, but are at least in different ratios than square. And so I will find us a good example of how we might, oh yeah, I had some images that I wanted to share anyway. So here is classic example of Instagram wanting to force us into this square format here. And so this is a census image that, I love it. It's so colorful and I think it's so clever. So in the, we're looking at my image here, and you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner of the image, then I have this little button to change the ratio of that image. So that is a newer feature to Instagram. It probably only came out in the last year and a half or something like that. But that is one of the ways you bypass that. So I still couldn't put in a, portrait oriented image like I have right here, even if I tried. And I will also point out, Robin, that whenever they show up on your profile, they still do crop to square. But as I kind of mentioned earlier, it's not super common for folks to kind of just go and scroll through a profile to kind of see old posts. And so I think you're safe to, if you're just wanting to do this for the purposes of getting in people's feeds, I think you're safe to kind of post stuff like this. While we're here, then I'll also show you in the bottom right-hand corner of this little posting window is where you can add some, layouts with multiple photos in them, or where you can add multiple photos if I wanted to add all of these other wonderful census images that I have. And then it'll give me the opportunity to, as I go forward, edit each of those images, yada, yada, yada. So let's say that I had just posted this, and now I want to run an ad on it because I love this so much. I want to post this wonderful "The Present is Latina" image, and I can't remember who this came from. Oh, this came from Hágase Contar. I love this post so much, by the way, and I love it so much that I think I want to go ahead and boost it right now. So I will hit this promote button. And if you have never before advertised on Instagram, then you're going to see something like this. We as a campaign at Texas Counts have never advertised on Instagram before. And so one of the wonderful things that it does is actually walk you through the process of what it will take to get set up on your Instagram ad account. So you'll see that it's going to take us and show us how we can reach new people. We can decide that we want the post that we're going to promote to either go back to our profile, to our website. Let's say that we're promoting 2020census.gov, or we may have a toolkit or some FAQs on our website that we want to direct people to. Then we could have the link go there. Or we could have the ad have people send us direct messages. And maybe we want to encourage folks to message with us and ask us questions about the census. But let's just go back to creating our promotion. So I have decided that I really want this to go to our website. And you'll see that by default, it wants to go to a link that we've used in our profile before. But I can also override this and decide that I really want this to go to our Texas Counts toolkit. And so I can change that link right now. And then you'll see these are some of the other default calls to action. I think for the most part, then we'll end up doing learn more. And here's where we can do some of our targeting. So we know that we want people to go to our website, and we can choose an automatic audience that is people like our followers, or we can create our own. So what I will say is, if you were part of our Facebook advertising webinar, then you'll be familiar with just kind of the basic kind of location and interest and behavior based stuff. It's mostly the same on Instagram. Now you don't have quite as many options on Instagram as you have on Facebook, but it's still pretty powerful. So let's say that I just wanted to reach out to people in my local community. You'll see that I hit location. I'm going out about 5 miles. I'm really pushing my bandwidth here, and so I'm not going to wait for everything to load. I'm just going to kind of give you these previews. But I could have very well decided that I want to target everyone in Houston, Texas. And that gives me 3.1 million people. Or I could localize it a little bit. And once I select my location, then I can say that, you know, since this is all about Latinx representation in the census, then I can just sort of see what sort of interests are in there for Latinx populations. So Spanish language, Latinx is not one. Interesting. Let's just say Latin America. Let's say, and I'm going to try this, even though I don't know if this is true or not. If I put in Telemundo, that pulls up one. So, you know, let's just say that this is going to be my targeting for this particular ad. Instagram is telling me that's a great potential reach, is 1.5 million people who are interested in Spanish language, Telemundo, or Latin America, but based in Houston, and they're Instagram users in Houston. And then, as I mentioned before, you'll notice that whenever you're running ads on Facebook, that Facebook will only let you go 18 to 65, whereas Instagram will let you go 13 to 65. So this is a wonderful place to use some of those Naleo resources for kids. And it does want me to name this audience, so I'll call this Latinx in Houston. It'll save this audience so that we can come back and look at it later on. And so once we've created our audience, then we set our budget, just like Facebook. Then you can kind of make the budget as small as you want, maybe just play around with it for a little bit. But I think you can start small, make sure you're getting good kind of, you know, engagement off of it, and then increase your budget after that. And then the last thing I'll say is, you know, you'll preview your promotion, and Instagram is really good at automatically deciding based on who you're targeting. This is a preview of the ad. You'll see that there's this like little learn more button at the bottom. But then it'll also place it in the story too. And Instagram, it does a really good job at kind of deciding whether or not it thinks you're going to get more engagement out of it as a story or as a post. So if I wanted to start this ad, I would just finish my review and then hit create promotion. Of course, it would ask me for payment information at this time too. But for now, just know that that is how you get a basic Instagram ad going. Again, if you want to simultaneously advertise on Facebook and Instagram, go back to our Pivoting to Digital Organizing webinar series 3. Okie dokie, I think this is a lovely juncture for some questions. So let me stop sharing my screen and take a look at some questions we've gotten. So Tanya wants to know the name of this website app. It looks like that was at 4:38 that you asked that question. So Tanya, where we were just now was just Instagram, the phone-based version of Instagram. But we are going to, and as a matter of fact, why don't I just go ahead and share with you all right now the slideshow that has some of these links in them, so you just have them. If you're really super motivated around digging into Instagram, I do not want to stand in your way, and so I will put the slideshow in the chat box right now so that you can see all of the apps we are in. Before I went right into Instagram, I was in the Sprout social scheduling app. So thank you so much, Tanya. Hope that answered your question. And let's see, we have, oh, thank you, Katie. So Katie has also asked, are Instagram ads a good way to target census tracts? That is a wonderful question. And since the second question was about reviewing the different apps that we've shared and you have the slideshow, then I'm gonna jump back into Instagram for just one moment to show you the smallest level of targeting you can do, because yes, you can get into the census tract level. And I know that many of you working in Getting Out the Count are already familiar with this, but really the census tracts that we talk about whenever we talk about getting to that kind of block by block, street by street, hyper-local targeting, that's about typically, you know, 6,000 to 8,000 households. So if we go back into our ad account, Oh goodness, I've lost it. Oh goodness. I don't want to waste any time because I'm pretty sure I saved that audience, but maybe I didn't. In any case, I will say that whenever you go back, and I'll just run through this really quickly, and are deciding your audience, the minimum you can make it is about a mile and a half out. And one thing that we know about census tracts is that they typically, if you're doing what Instagram and Facebook want you to do by kind of dropping a pin and it's setting up a radius, then the smallest you can get on Facebook is about a mile, and the smallest you can get on Instagram is about a mile, and that typically is about maybe 2 or 3 census tracts at a time. And so I would say yes, you can definitely use Instagram to target census tracts. Okie dokie. So please keep feeding us questions for the last round of Q&A that we'll do. But before we do that, I want to briefly discuss videos, stories, and going live really quickly. So let's just kind of think about video in itself right now. And I'm going to, I got so much stuff going on. I'm not even sure what I'm sharing anymore. Okay, here we go. Generally, we know that video is very popular. There are great video assets out on, all of the kind of get complete count committees and get out the count kind of national efforts that we can share. Now, some of those are going to be great for Instagram and some won't, because we've already said that only on your profile you can only post up to 60-second long videos. On your story, you can really only post 15-second videos, but we're going to go through and we're going to create a story in just a little while. And I want to show you that even if you have a longer video, Instagram will automatically break that up into 15-second increments. And so it's not like if you have a 60-second video that it's going to be rejected whenever you try to put it to your Instagram story. All that really means is it's going to be broken up into 4 parts. And what happens is that sometimes, because people go to stories to see something super quick, a photo Instagram story is 5 seconds, and then Instagram is kind of, attuned us to this 15-second limit for videos. And so I would say the only risk of posting longer videos broken up into 15-second increments is that I don't think that's why people go to stories. I don't think it's because they want to watch something really long. I think they want to get a little tidbit and then move on with their lives and go see someone else's story and then wait for you to post some fresh content as opposed to the same video. And so it's a bit of a hedonistic cycle, and I think that's why we probably just want to keep it as short as possible whenever it comes to our Instagram story strategy. Live videos can be up to 60 minutes. So what that means is that if you go live, then you can really only go live, or rather you can go live for as long as you want, but whenever you save the video, then it's going to want to trim it down to 60 minutes. The IGTV video can also be up to 60 minutes. And as we saw, that's kind of uploaded from that separate kind of IGTV app or the desktop for Instagram app. But just to kind of wrap your head around video, shorter the better on Instagram, unless you are kind of recording a live event. So what do stories actually mean? Let's go look at some right now. We're going to create a poll on our Instagram that is just simply asking people if they have completed the census. And so let's go, and this is our final time going back into Instagram. And we're going to just put it out there. Have you completed the 2020 census? Back in my Instagram app, then on the upper left-hand side, you'll see our profile picture, which in this case is the Texas Counts logo, and a little plus sign. That is how we will add to our story. Oh gosh, that's a lot going on in my face. And so what we want to do is get into create mode to create the poll that we're about to have. But I also want to point out that this is how you'll go live too. So I'm going to come back to that in just a second, but for the time being, let us go and create our story. have you been counted in the 2020 census? Very kind of simple to the point post here because we just want to get a feel. So, oh, I did that kind of fast, but what I did was come up to the top and there's this like little smiley sticker looking guy. And when you click on that is whenever you get some of those really fun interactive things, they're called stickers that are what you see on a lot of really popular stories. You can add your location, you can add stuff like a countdown, or you can add a poll. We could have I've been counted, or have you been counted? And the default's yes or no, but we can just make that our let's change the wording of that a little bit. Now, even though this is going to automatically post to our Facebook, then we do lose some of the interactive features on Facebook. So on the bottom left-hand side, you'll see that I have my automatic Facebook story sharing on, but people won't be able to click on the poll. It's really just going to be for Instagram. And so I've added in my sticker. If I wanted to, I could change the colors a little bit. That was the most Texas County color, this kind of harvest color here, a sunset. And so I'm going to go ahead and post that. Just play around with it. Then all of these little extra tools up at the top are to draw stuff, add additional text, yada, yada, yada. It's pretty intuitive. We got a lot of 13-year-olds out here who are on Instagram. And so we know that it's, you know, are you smarter than a 13-year-old over here? And then we're just going to post it onto both our story and our Facebook story at the same time. If you want to go back and see what it looks like after you post it, it's right here. After we let this kind of be out there for just a little while, then it's going to show up on the feed of folks who follow us here. And so they'll see, you know, that we have a little multicolored circle around our profile, and that means that we've just posted a story that they haven't seen yet. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you in this same vein is going live. And so I went back to as if I was going to add a story, and you'll see that I have this option to go live right now. Now, I have to get out of this. Well, no, let's keep doing it. It's kind of weird that we're seeing my face in multiple places, but you basically have to get your live going before you can do anything. So if I want to go live with someone else, then I already have to be live, they have to be watching, and then either I request that they go live with me or they have to request to go live with me. So here's kind of what I would do is if you're planning a live event on Instagram, I would just get it going, be prepared to kind of vamp for a little while and talk, because what's going to happen is that whenever you go live, then your followers are going to get a notification that you've gone live. So Instagram's trying to goad me into going live right now, saying 4 of your followers are active right now. So if I go live, chances are that those 4 people are going to get a notification that says Texas Counts is live right now, watch. And then it's going to put that me, and this is another very powerful thing about Instagram, it's going to put me right in front of Ashley P. Turner here because Instagram loves to kind of promote live events. And so it's a really easy way to kind of cut through the noise and just get right out in front of people. And again, as long as you have good engagement on your Instagram page, then it's just going to keep feeding your followers more and more fresh content that you're putting out there. So once you're live in an event, I guess probably the most useful thing to do is to show you all an example of a live video that we did recently. and this just gets so meta at a certain point. But this is just a little screenshot of our live event on Census Day. So this is me and one of our influencers kind of going back and forth. You know, we had our live viewers and they were kind of coming on, you know, gradually once Ashley went live, because then all of her followers got a notification basically that Ashley Turner was live with Texas Counts. And so, you know, it kind of looked like this. This is what viewers were seeing. I came and screen recorded this after we had already kind of done our live event. And, oh, we just got a good notification. Oh, dang it. It went away. I'm flying too close to the sun here. So I'm just gonna talk you through the rest of that. Once you're live on Instagram, then you'll see a list of people up at the bottom who are already watching, and then you can search through and select people from that list and request that they go live with you, or the other way around. I am also going to add to the slides, because I realize this is one thing that I didn't add, is this very comprehensive guide to going live for organizations and businesses on Instagram. So just to really drive home the importance of going live and kind of working that into your strategy, just for Texas Counts, do one live event at some point this census year, because it's a great way to kind of strategically get your account and your message out in front of people who may not even follow you, by going live with people who have a large Instagram following. So that is going live, and that is posting a story. Just to kind of make sure that we're, you know, touching or covering all of our bases, just know that those stories and the live events are, again, that very ephemeral quality of Instagram. And so you cannot kind of run an ad on a story, and you can't run an ad on a live event. You can only run ads off a post or IGTV that you put in. So we will conclude with a question that is from one of our attendees. Is there a best time to post on Instagram or to go live? So there used to be this weird kind of, you know, analytics and wisdom to when people were saying is the best time to post on Instagram. And that was Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I know that sounds really odd, but that's just kind of, for the longest time, people like me who are kind of raised in digital outreach and advertising, were told that that is the best time to post on Instagram, is Wednesday at 3 p.m. Now, at this point, you don't really have to rely on folk wisdom like that, because if you're using something like Sprout Social, then you can kind of figure out when your audience is actually engaging. But I would just say, honestly, use your kind of gut instinct and kind of work off of some of the anecdotal stuff you know about your audience. So right now, for example, our rule of thumb about when to post is whenever, because people are in front of their devices way more than they've ever been. But if this was 3 months ago, then we may not have posted so much in the middle of the workday, because we want to make sure that people are seeing it maybe at 4 or 5 o'clock as they're just getting off work, and, you know, maybe part of their evening routine is to check in on social media, or early in the morning, and kind of put out a fresh post that's going to, or a story that's going to get in their story feed, you know, between 6 and 8 a.m. before they actually settle into the workday. If I was doing a live event right now, I would probably start it any weekday from about 5 to 8 p.m., 5 to 9 p.m. is whenever I might have a live event right now. It works really well if you want to theme it like a happy hour and go live with someone else. As far as posting, I mean, really, I just don't think it matters if you're going to post a photo or video. It's going to end up getting out in front of people in their feed based on kind of how the algorithm thinks y'all relate to one another. But I would just kind of use your kind of gut sense of when you think your audience is going to be online. For a live event, weekdays, evening time. For a post, it really doesn't matter. Weekends, anything goes, but, you know, midday on a weekend, I think that, you know, weekend evening times is probably kind of a dead space. I don't know that I would spend too much time going live on a weekend dead space, but I'm pretty sure that Rihanna happy hour, or Rihanna party was on a weekend evening, but I don't think she has trouble getting people to her live event. So any other questions about all things Instagram? we're just about out of time. And so I will just draw your attention one more time to the slides that I had put out there. The link will remain the same, but I'm going to go and add a couple more links in there to some of the tools that we talked about. We hope that you will continue along with us for the next couple of weeks of our Pivoting to Digital Organizing series. Again, we really, really hope that by the end of this series, then you will feel like you're on the same playing field as the folks who are doing great social media work, because we wanted to empower you from the ground up. I will say about our kind of continuing education, training, and outreach efforts is that now that you've all kind of been empowered with some basic tools, then we're going to try to take some of our upcoming webinars and trainings to a little bit higher level, so that they can be of value to people who already may have good experience doing social media outreach. So seeing no questions, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And we hope that you will continue reaching out to us with any questions you have about all things census, social media, digital outreach, and organizing. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Erin.
Bye.